Hey, Canucks fans, a ton of player updates today because it's June 30th. It's the day before free agency, it's the day after the NHL draft, and we knew that there are many players that the Canucks needed to make decisions on, and they have done so today with an announcement from GM Patrick Allvin. I think the biggest one of this, the most interesting one, is that the Canucks have not extended a qualifying offer to restricted free agent Ethan Bear. So let's go through the list, and then I'll talk about each one very quickly. So the Canucks did not extend qualifying offers to Ethan Bear, to Travis Dermott, and to Carson Focht. Always got to be careful how I say that last name. They did extend qualifying offers to RFAs Akito Hirose, Nils Höglander, and Vitali Kravtsov. And then earlier in the day, they announced that they signed defenseman Noah Juulsen to a 2-year contract. So let's talk about all 7 of these players very quickly because I think these are all important news updates. These are all important decisions that the Canucks had to make. And now we have some clarity, at least, as they look towards wheeling and dealing starting tomorrow. So let's start with the biggest one, Ethan Bear. We know that he had a pretty good season with the Vancouver Canucks. We know that he suffered that unfortunate injury at the end of the World Championships in the quarterfinal. And it was a shoulder injury that he had surgery on. And he's not going to be ready till maybe December, even January. That complicated his contract situation because he was a restricted free agent. And by the way, restricted free agent means they're not unrestricted, meaning the Canucks had basically the first right of refusal. They had the first priority when it came to being able to negotiate and extend these players. But if they do extend a qualifying offer, that means for restricted free agents, they can either accept it or decline it. But at least what it means is the Canucks still have kind of the control, the leverage, so to speak, or at least the first rights to this player. If you do not extend a qualifying offer to a restricted free agent, it means they become an unrestricted free agent tomorrow. That's why the deadline's today. And then they can sign with any team, including the Vancouver Canucks still. So sometimes you'll see that a club won't extend a qualifying offer because they think that they can negotiate a different contract under different terms with this player. And because a qualifying offer, you're kind of restricted to a certain amount it's a 1-year deal, restricted to basically the same contract as last year, more or less. So just keep that in mind. Just because they haven't extended an offer to Ethan Bear doesn't mean he still can't sign with the Vancouver Canucks. So let's start with Ethan Bear. Like I said, that injury, and then he was owed a $2.2 million qualifying offer. And if he can't even play until December or January, if you're the Canucks, why would you commit that money, that space right now when you can kind of see how his recovery is going? You can see if that number comes a little bit down from 2.2 million, prorated, of course. So not a surprise here that the Canucks did not extend a qualifying offer to Ethan Bear, especially with the news about Noah Juulsen earlier in the day. And I'll talk about the right side of the Canucks defense when I talk about Noah Juulsen. So no qualifying offer to Ethan Bear. He becomes an unrestricted free agent. Also, the Canucks did not qualify Travis Dermott. This one's a bit disappointing to me. As you guys know, I talked about at the Jake Milford golf tournament way back in September. He was the one player who I really connected with, who had a lot of time for me. I obviously had a lot of time for any of the Canucks players, but we had a really nice 10-minute chat after the tourney, and he was talking about how excited he was to play in Vancouver, to maybe get a chance to play with Quinn Hughes. Unfortunately, because of an injury, a concussion he suffered in training camp, he only played 11 games this season. So disappointing. 11 games for Travis Dermott, had 1 goal, it was a -4, 13 and a half minutes of ice time. But again, only 11 games for Travis Dermott. Lefty, but he can play on the right side as well. But unfortunately, never got a chance to show what he could do. And it'll be interesting to see what type of contract he'll get from another team. So unfortunately, no more Travis Dermott here in Vancouver. Carson Focht also not getting a qualifying offer. He was a 5th-round draft pick of the Canucks way back in 2019, I believe. I'm just looking that up real quick. Yes, 5th-round pick in 2019, and has never played a game with the Canucks. In fact, played only 3 games with Abbotsford, and then he played most of the season last year in the ECHL. So not a big loss there, and we wish Carson good luck wherever he may wind up. Now, the Canucks did extend to 3 players, and not surprising, the first one, Akito Hirose. You guys know how much I love this player. You know how much I think this player could be a great depth piece for Vancouver going forward. So Hirose, as we know, played at the end of last season. I'm just trying to find his stats here. Yes. So he played in 7 games. He's 23 years old, played in 7 games, had 3 assists. So almost a point every 2 games, was a -1. And he did get 17 minutes of ice time. Now, I get it was garbage time. I get the games didn't mean much, but I still loved his decision making, his poise, his smooth skating. He's not going to forget it, make anyone forget about Quinn Hughes or anything like that. But still a very, very good skater, and could be a very good depth piece. Smart player, could be a good depth piece on the left side. So maybe he starts in Abbotsford, and maybe he gets a call up eventually, or maybe this is looking down the road. So again, just because we extended a qualifying offer doesn't mean he's going to accept it. But there's there's a good chance that Akito Hirose will be back here next season. Nils Höglander, this is a no-brainer. Drafted in 2019 in the second round. The draft here in Vancouver. His 3-year ELC winds up, and he's a player that started in Vancouver, then got sent to Abbotsford, did a really good job in Abbotsford, and I think he's poised to make the team next season for sure. With the Canucks, he played 25 games, only a third of the season, had 3 goals, 6 assists, and 9 points in 12 minutes of ice time. So that's like fourth line, barely, third line, fourth line minutes. He's going to want to try and crack the top 6. I don't think he will, but if he becomes a staple on a hardworking, tough to play against third line next season, so be it. So again, Nils Höglander looking for a new contract. His 3-year ELC expires. I don't expect him to get much more than $1.2, $1.3 million on a show me deal, but Nils Höglander qualified by the Vancouver Canucks. And then lastly, Vitali Kravtsov. We know that he basically is going to go play back in Russia, but you, in essence, you qualify him just to retain the rights to that. If he ever comes back to the NHL, then he will be a Vancouver Canuck. I don't know what that contract's going to look like. I'm not sure how that works, but at least the Canucks do what is expected, and they qualify him so they still retain his NHL rights if he ever decides to come back to the NHL after, like I said, 1 or 2 years. 16 games for the Canucks, very disappointing. Only 1 goal, 1 assist, so 2 points in less than 11 minutes of average ice time. Finally, Noah Juulsen. This was the news that broke at the start of the day. Noah Juulsen signed to a 2-year contract, 2-year, 2-way. Remember, 2-way means you get paid 2 ways. You get paid a certain number if you're in the NHL, a certain number if you're in the AHL, as opposed to a 1-way contract. We only get paid 1 way, the same salary. Of course, in NHL, AHL, 1-way contracts better than 2-way contracts. But Noah Juulsen, not a lot of bargaining power, so he gets a 2-year, 2-way contract. So his contract is basically for $775,000, basically league minimum for both years. However, if he plays in Abbotsford, he makes $450 in the first year, then a slight bump, $475 in year number 2. So obviously it would be behoove, I love that word, it would behoove Juulsen to make the lineup, make the roster at least, and get paid his NHL salary, a $300,000 difference. But that's what we're looking for in Juulsen. I like this guy. We got him in the trade in 2021. Him and Juho Lammikko came over from Florida. We traded away Olli Juolevi. Lammikko's gone. Juolevi's not in the league anymore. Actually, he is in the league, but he's not doing much. So Noah Juulsen could be, actually, of the 3 players there, might end up being the best player in that trade. Now, last year, Juulsen, boy, I just lost it. He played, I think it was in 12 games. Let me pull that up real quick. I just had it up here. Played in, I think it was 12 games for the Vancouver Canucks. I have it right here. Thanks for your patience. I'm trying to do this on the fly. Here we go. Noah Juulsen. Where are we, Noah Juulsen? Yes, 12 games, no points, but he did have, he was a +1, and he played in 50 minutes of ice time. What I like about Juulsen is he's pretty reliable. He's got decent size. He's not afraid to use his body. In fact, he was one of the Canucks leaders in hits when he played. And he doesn't take stupid penalties. He doesn't take himself out of the play to make a hit. He doesn't take dumb retaliatory penalties. So this is a guy who, a perfect, kind of grit guy, depth guy, whether he's your third pairing right shot D, or if he's your 7th or 8th D, I'm fine with that as well. And maybe with Ethan Bear not being qualified, and if he doesn't come back, maybe you are looking at Juulsen as the candidate, the favorite to land that 3rd spot behind Hronek and Myers on the right side. And I'm fine with it. I really am. Cheap. You need guys that can play for a league minimum and yet not hurt you in the lineup. So if the Canucks end up sticking with him, and then if they think their right side is set, it's not the best, but if they think their right side is set between Hronek, Myers, and now Juulsen, then now you can focus your free agent money on 2 things: a left shot D to replace OEL, because then you still have Willanen, Brisebois, Hirose, those guys kind of fighting for that 3rd spot. Obviously, you have Quinn Hughes, so you can spend your free agent money on a second pairing left shot D, and a third line center. That's where I think the Canucks are going to spend their money, spend their efforts tomorrow and beyond. So Canucks fans, a lot of updates there. Juulsen, Hirose, Hoglander, Kravtsov, Dermott, Bear, and Carson Focht. Let me know what you think of any of those, and especially, I guess, the Ethan Bear is the biggest one. It was the one that most people were interested in, and now we have some clarity at least. Remember, he's still consigned with the Vancouver Canucks, but not at $2.2 billion. Canucks fans, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Always appreciate you watching these videos and subscribing and staying loyal to me here on this channel. Shout out to my sponsors, Vancity Experts Real Estate, Perform and Transform Personal Training and Weight Loss. Thank you, legendary Lucas Gates, legendary Carol Bovelander, legendary Andrew Chang, and to Hall of Fame and franchise members as well. And thanks to all of you for always supporting me. Always appreciate you. Never take you for granted. On your way out, subscribe, like, leave a tip, become a member, upgrade your membership, and definitely leave a comment down below your thoughts on all these transactions by the Vancouver Canucks today. Enjoy the rest of your Friday. Stay safe, stay healthy. Take care of yourselves and take care of each other. God bless, and go Canucks go.